Good morning, dear students. I am very glad to see you at our home reading lesson. Today's theme of our lesson, Letters in the Mail, by E Caldwell. This home reading lesson is prepared by the teacher of special disciplines of the English language, Mireeva Clara Sanzirovna. Mangistau Humanitarian College, named after Moranjrau Sengerbek Ulu. You know that short story is usually concerned with a single effect conveyed in only one or a few significant episodes or scenes. The form encourages economy of sitting, concise narrative, and omission of a complex plot. Character is disclosed in action and dramatic encounter, but is seldom fully developed. Pay attention to the learning objectives. Develop the students' voluntary and involuntary memory, their imaginative abilities and willpower, acquainting the students with the life and the culture of English-speaking nations and with their manners and customs, widening the students' general and philological outlook, developing their powers of abstract thinking, cultivating their sense of beauty and their appreciation of literature. E Caldwell, the American writer, was one of the best-selling authors of all time. His novels and stories are distinguished by their brutally realistic depiction of the rural South. His early work was outstanding. His works achieved a worldwide readership and were particularly esteemed in France and the Soviet Union. Let's watch video about the biography and the literary career of this writer.
Erskine Preston Caldwell was an American novelist and short story writer. His writings about poverty, racism and social problems in his native southern United States, in novels such as Tobacco Road and God's Little Acre, won him critical acclaim, but his advocacy of eugenics and the sterilization of Georgia's poor whites became less popular following World War II. Caldwell was born on December 17, 1903, in the small town of White Oak, Coweta County, Georgia. He was the only child of Associate Reformed Presbyterian Church minister Ira Sylvester Caldwell and his wife Carolyn Preston Caldwell, a schoolteacher. Rev. Caldwell's ministry required moving the family often to places including Florida, Virginia, Tennessee, South Carolina and North Carolina. When he was 15 years old, his family settled in Rennes, Georgia. His mother Carolyn was from Virginia. Her ancestry included English nobility which held large land grants in eastern Virginia. Both her English ancestors and Scots-Irish ancestors fought in the American Revolution. Thank you for watching.
Dear students, you have watched the biography and the literary career of this writer. Be carefully and try to answer to the questions. When and where E Caldwell born? What do you know about his childhood? What books of E Caldwell did you read before? What story was dedicated to his childhood? Who did illustrate his books? And now we have vocabulary time. Listen to the pronunciation of the new words and word combinations. To play joke on somebody, сыграть шутку. Қалжыңдау, әзілдеу. To mean bad, замышлять дурное. Қулықты ойластыру. Without signing the letter, не подписав письмо, есімін жазбау. To behave like mad, вести себя как сумасшедший, өзін ақмақ сияқты сезіну. A night telephone operator, телефонист ночной смены, түнгі ауысым телефон операторы. To remain unmarried, не выходить замуж, не жениться, тұрмысқа шықпау, үйленбеу. To do somebody a favor. Оказать услугу. Қызмет көрсету. To get acquainted with. Познакомиться с. Танцу. Only a polite word had passed between them. Обменяться лишь вежливыми фразами. Сыпайы түрде амандасу. With a happy smile on one's face. Со счастливой, радостной улыбкой на лице. Бақытты жүзімен күлімсіреу. Watch video. Letters in the mail after Erskine Caldwell. Listen please attentively.
Erskine Caldwell, Letters in the Mail. As a general rule, almost everybody likes to receive mail, except bills and such things. And probably nobody in the whole town of Stillwater liked to get letters in the mail more than Ray Buffin. However, the fact was that Ray received fewer letters in his box at the post office than anybody else. "Dog bited," Ray would say with a sad expression on his long, thin face when he took one more last look at his box and left the post office. At a time like this, his whole tall, bony body drooped with disappointment. No mail again this time, but I've got a feeling that one of these days I'm going to get some. It had been like that with Ray Buffin almost all his life. He had no living relatives who might write letters to him. However, once a month he did get a bill from the gas and electric company. Occasionally, there was a letter from some candidate who was running for an office. At other times, perhaps 2 or 3 times a month, Sid Stoney, the postmaster, received a bundle of advertising matter of some kind for distribution, and Ray would get one of the envelopes in his box like everybody else in town. And of course, since he had no relatives to correspond with and did not know anybody outside of Stillwater, he had no cause to write a letter himself. The only exception had been once many years before. He had been about 30 years old at that time, when he had written a letter to a young girl in town. He had written the letter to tell her how much he admired her and how beautiful he thought she was. He had ended the letter by asking her to marry him, but he had not received an answer. Like many other small towns along the Gulf Coast and elsewhere, Stillwater, which had a population of about 550 persons, was not situated on a railroad. Therefore, mail was received and dispatched here once a day. Every afternoon, except Sundays, the bus from New Orleans stopped in the town in front of the post office. The driver opened the door and tossed out 2 or 3 mailbags which contained letters, magazines, and newspapers. When the bus was running on time, it was usually about 4 o'clock when it arrived, and a few minutes after that, Sid Stoney slammed shut the stamp window and began sorting the letters and putting them into the little boxes.
And it's time to the questions. Did Ray Buffin often receive letters? What was in Guy Hodge and Ralph Bunhill like to do? What was their plan? Who was Gray Books? Why did the 2 young men ask her to do them a favor? Why didn't the girl agree at once? What was Ray's reaction when he saw a letter in his box? What did he do next? What did Guy and Ralph see when they entered the telephone office? Answer, please. Be active. Good luck for you, students. Our next task is true or false statement. Ray Buffin didn't like to get letters as other young people in the town of Stillwater. His friends wrote letters to him, and occasionally he found advertising matter in his box, like everybody else in the town. Define true or false. 2 of the younger men in town Guy Hodge and Ralph Banhill decided to become a close friends with Ray. Define true or false. They would send him a letter signed by a girl. True or false? She wrote a letter and in the morning mailed it in the letter box at the post office. True or false? When Ralph and Guy followed him, they found Ray and Grace together in the supermarket. Define, please. True or false? Good luck for you, students. Let's do the next task. Give Russian and Kazakh equivalents for the following words and expressions from the text and use them in the sentences of your own. Receive letters, watch somebody do something, read aloud, speak aloud, explain something to somebody, refuse to do something, get acquainted with somebody, look at something, look at somebody in surprise, in silence, worry about something or somebody without doing something. Your homework for the next lesson will be discuss the following and write down your opinion. Why did the girl agree to write the letter in the end? Comment on the phrase, they were too happy to worry about Guy and Ralph watching them. What do you think Grace wrote in her letter? Why do people like to receive letters? Do you agree that it is easier to express your feelings in a letter than during a talk? Give your grounds, please. Why do you think the art of writing letters is dying nowadays? Please. Dear students, you work very well today. And now the lesson is over. Thank you for your attention. Goodbye. Take care and stay at home, please.